This video contains spoilers for Ridley Scott's Alien. In this video I will explore the techniques used in Alien to help the audience accept the world and build connections with the characters. In Mike's DeClase's, or Mr. Plankett's, review of Star Wars Episode 1, he quite rightly pointed out the need for a lot of films in different genres to have a clear protagonist that the audience can relate to. I would also agree with his point that not all films need to follow the same rules. If someone was asked who the protagonist was in Alien, their mind would probably jump to Ripley, and they wouldn't necessarily be wrong. However, I think their assumption might stem from the fact that Ripley became the main focus of 3 other Alien movies after this. I think it's up for debate if Alien even has a protagonist, and that Ripley becomes the obvious choice through process of elimination. That being said, I want to discuss what makes Alien so relatable, despite being set in a future with advanced technology, and including a strange alien life form. In Star Wars, the audience could relate to the normality of Luke Skywalker. Essentially, he's an anchor of normality and consistency the audience can cling to. It's obvious that he's the protagonist, and he has a clear arc throughout the film. As an audience, we experience the adventure with him. However, in Alien, I believe there are many different factors at play that ease us into the setting and world of Alien. At the start, the audience is taken on a small tour of the ship. This is the first point I believe envelops the audience in the film, the use of an actual set and miniatures. Our eyes are very perceptive, so we can pick up on CGI in contrast with real people very easily, if it isn't used sparingly. The fact that the ship consists of actual real-world materials helps our mind in not rejecting the setting. The crew is made up of humans, apart from Ash, who we believe to be human at the start. In Star Wars, it's fine that there are many different creatures and aliens because we have Luke. It would be assumed that not many, if any, alien creatures had been discovered up until the events of Alien taking place. So we share in the human crew's surprise of the new discovery. Costume also works towards normalizing the crew and setting. The crew dress pretty normal, in relevance to the late 70s. Another important element is the crew's occupations. They aren't space monks or anything like that. Instead, they are essentially a delivery crew, a very common and well-known occupation. These factors work as a great buffer for the audience being introduced to the world and setting. This perceived normality would work towards us connecting with the characters. As Nicholas Winding Refn said,
when we look at characters, strength we admire and vulnerability we identify with. Weakness we identify with as an audience, but strength we admire.
I believe this almost puts us as an audience in the characters' shoes, as we feel just as afraid as they do. The characters can be seen as normal people in an abnormal situation. Making a connection with characters is often something that is achieved early on in a film, and Alien, I believe, is no exception. One of the factors that I believe holds the audience throughout the film is character interactions and dialogue. Near the start of the film, Parker and Brett are arguing with the rest of the crew about their bonus. Rather than talking about future technology with complex names, they're talking about money. This is a very normal topic of conversation that the audience would feel included in. The acting is very strong throughout the film, and the characters interact with each other in a normal manner. Their dialogue never seems overblown, and they even talk over each other in a natural way.
Well, let's talk about killing it. We know it's using the air shafts. Will you listen to me, Parker? Shut up!
Other elements within the film also contribute to knowing a character's state of mind. When Dallas, Kane and Lambert are heading towards the distress signal, the weather around them, as well as the distorted feed being sent back to the ship, convey a feeling of confusion and uncertainty, as they themselves and the others back on the Nostromo have no idea what they are walking into. A stronger example of this, I believe, is towards the end of the film. After Parker and Lambert are killed, Ripley initiates the self-destruct sequence and attempts to escape the ship. If something similar to this was happening in a game, you yourself would have to make the escape and endure the pressure that comes with it. However, in Alien I believe there are external factors that help us feel Ripley's panic and terror. Essentially, the audience's senses are visually and audibly assaulted. Visually, there is the gas which seems to engulf Ripley, as well as the relentlessly flashing lights. In terms of audio, there are at least 2 separate sirens going off, as well as the noise of the gas and also Ripley's breathing. Music is used very sparingly in this scene. I think this was the right choice in terms of making the audience feel what Ripley feels, as Ripley herself could obviously not hear the film's score. Overall, I believe that not all films need a clear protagonist. However, as stated by Mike Stacklasa, I think it takes a certain type of director to pull this feat off. I believe Ridley Scott was entirely successful at easing us into the world of Alien and making us want to stay and find out what happens.